Now then guys, how we doing? Welcome back, and today we're going with Nottingham Forest. We're going to bring back the glory days. We're going to win the Champions League. No, we're not. No, let's just stop right there. If you're watching this thinking I'm going to win the Champions League in 5 seasons, could happen. Massively unrealistic if it does though. I'm expecting to get us back into the Premier League. First of all, if I can get us into the top 4 in 5 seasons, that's a mega achievement in itself. But as Brian Clough said, Rome wasn't built in a day, but that's because he wasn't on the job. So you never know, miracles may happen. We may end up lifting the Champions League title, but just don't be hitting that dislike button if we don't, because, you know, highly unlikely that is going to happen. But if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot as the channel continues to grow. And if you are a regular viewer, thank you very much for your continued support. But let's get into bringing the glory days back to Nottingham Forest. So here we go then guys, day 1 at Forest. And we've got a lot to do. However, Forest have got a decent squad. When we look at the finances, first of all, I've got 2.5 million to spend in this transfer window. We're going to get 100% transfer revenue for any sales that I make. Wage budget's 341k. That is high. And we're spending 338k. What about debt and loans? How's that looking? So I've got 50 million net debt, which is repayable on promotion to the top division. I've got a transfer debt of £9 million. What was the overall balance? I've got £15 million in the overall balance. So finances wise, not horrific. Obviously there's that bit of debt, but we can address that as the season goes on. So the club culture is to develop players using the club's youth system. They've got a quality youth system. Sign players under the age of 23 for the future. The 5-year plan is to work within the wage budget, always the same, just financial stability. End of the current season now is to reach the playoffs as a bare minimum in the Championship, reach the 4th round of the FA Cup, and reach the 3rd round of the EFL Cup. We'll go for that. At the end of the next season, my contract expires, and we just need to work towards gaining automatic promotion to the Premier League. And then by basically the end of the, say, of the 25-26 season, I want to look to build on a promotion to the Premier League. So when we're in there, we just need to stay in there and maintain. I just slightly touched on the youth prospects that we've got in the club. You know, I was talking about developing the youth, and we've got a strong under-20 squad. When we have a look at overall, you know, our best prospect is Finn Back, an 18-year-old Englishman who can play as the anchor or out at right back. He looks decent. Current ability 1.5 star, potential ability 4.5 stars, very good. But we are stacked with players there. What about the under-18s? When we look again, Dale Taylor is our best prospect then. He is good. 17-year-old Northern Irish under-21 international, 2 caps, 1 goal. Finishing 12, composure 12 already. Pace and acceleration decent as well. Current ability again 1.5 star, potential ability could potentially I say, be 4.5 star, which would be decent. And when we're looking at this overall, you know, we are stacked. Marcelo Savaria, if that's how you pronounce his name. Current ability is 2 star, potential ability 4 star. Guatemalan with 2 caps, 19-year-old, and also very good. Now, is he a regular starter? No, but these guys could have some value to them if we continue to develop them. And you never know, not all of them are going to make them into the squad, but we could sell them for a tidy profit. So looking at the squad dynamics then and my arrival to the team cohesion is very poor, club atmosphere is average, and my geo support is average as well. Top influences wise then, anybody opposes? No. I've got 22 players that have no real opinion of us, 5 players supporters. Graben and Worrell are my 2 team leaders. But I think we'll have the opportunity to address the squad and introduce myself. So I'm going to tell them that I want to win promotion this season. If you're at Forest, surely you want to be playing in the Premier League. So we're going to see it. And it'll give me a decent steer of what kind of players I've got at the club. So I've introduced myself. I'm not going to make any promises. I think we're good enough as a group to be champions. Do it. I've got people that are pleased. I've got players that are hurt. There are a lot of players that aren't happy with that and think that I'm being unrealistic. Lewis Graben, my club captain, being one of them. So his time at the club may already be over. Like I say, lots of offended players. Players there, though, that are pleased with that approach. All right, maybe winning the title is a step too far. No, I'm going to insist that's the right way to go. Plenty of players insulted. We're not always going to agree, but I'm going to go with that. I also want us to reach the last stage of the FA Cup. I want us to give a good account of ourselves. Right, they're all back on side. Brilliant. That's just what I want to hear. And that's the end of that. So, I have got players at the club that don't want to get promoted this season. I don't think it's possible to win the Championship. And that is not ideal. That's not the mentality that I want. Has that made any difference? No, I've got no issues. Top influencers. Has anybody opposed me because of that? No. So, nothing has changed after that team talk. So looking at the club info then, and obviously the history, when we look at those 2 Champions League crowns in 1979 and 1980, obviously Brian Clough at his peak there, but they have just literally been mincing about in the Championship for God knows how long. Yes, they got relegated in 2004, but they don't really get anywhere near the Premier League again. I think they had that playoff defeat, didn't they, where they got smashed by Blackpool? Is that what happened? I remember seeing that. I'm sure that was around about then. That might be that 2009-10. Then they finished up in 8th place, and then in 7th place the season before last, where they finished 17th last season. Had an absolute shambles. So yes, we want to get them back into the Premier League and amongst the top tier. So looking at the squad then, the first thing I can see is there's a lot of players in this first team squad. Let's remove any players that aren't at the club. So not at the club. There we go. So all my loanees have now disappeared. Who's my highest valued player? That'll be James Garner. He's on loan to us at 14.5 million. Alex Mighton, a 19-year-old American that does actually belong to the club, 11.5 million there. I do like him, can play out wide, which is good because the tactic I'm going to play is going to be very attacking. Who's my highest earner? Lewis Graben, 33-year-old, and he's earning 25k a week. But he doesn't think that we can get promoted. So my highest earner, my club captain, has got zero ambition, or he doesn't match my ambition anyway. So let's have a look at the tactic that I want to play then. So I'm going to play an attacking 4-2-4, the tactic that I used at Monaco, and it worked well for me there. But I'm going to give it a go solely because Brian Clough wanted the ball played on the ground. He didn't want that long ball, he didn't want that route one. So we're going to play a tick-attacker, shorter passing, but play attacking. I want to play attacking, attractive football, and I think that's what the Forest faithful deserve. So what about competitions this season? Now we've got the Sky Bet Championship, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Our first round tied out against Huddersfield. But what is the expectation this season first of all? So season preview, we're expected a 15th place finish. There's some big teams in the Championship though. Bournemouth, Sheffield United, Fulham, West Brom, all big teams above us. Swansea in there as well. Blackburn 20-1, they're climbing up the table. Teams promoted last season, Hull, Blackpool and Peterborough. You know, they're not expecting anything from them. And Derby rooted to the foot of the table. If you're a Forest fan, you'll love to see it. So looking at the squad depth then, you know, we've got Graben as the main striker up front. Out on those wide areas, we've got Zinkernagel out on the left-hand side, as well as Joe Lolly out on the right-hand side. Midfield, we look decent. We've got Cafu there, the Brazilian legend. No, it's not the Brazilian legend, Cafu, not at all. We've got a 28-year-old Cafu. Where's he come from? Olympiacos. I'm sure that's something to do with the guy that's in charge. Is that right? Let's just have a look at the staff. Who is the guy? There he is, the owner. But yeah, this guy here, Socrates. I'm sure this guy, he's got a big influence, obviously, the Greek football anyway, and he'll be able to bring some players in. I'm sure he's attached to Olympiacos. Am I wrong? This is the man that's got massive influence over the club, and like I say, there's an opportunity there to bring in some Greek players. I don't think that's the way to go. He might force my hand with that, but when we look at the club vision, there's no real push to bring in any Greek players. So yeah, like I say, this squad depth then, we look decent about, you know, Bree Samba is a quality player, he's a real good prospect for the club. Never really let them down, so I don't really think we'll need to improve in that goalkeeping area. We've got 3 decent goalkeepers anyway, looking at their ratings. So what we're going to do then, guys, is I think we're going to move forward through this transfer window where there may not be that much to do, as the squad does look decent. But if there is money to be spent, I probably will end up spending it, and then we'll come back for the start of Season 1. Right then guys, so the first transfer window is down. The season's already started, we haven't played yet. It's now the 8th of August, Saturday's games have already taken place. We've got our game against Coventry, first game of the season. We've had a fantastic pre-season. Let's just have a look at these fixtures first of all. Unbeaten in those pre-season games, and there's been some decent teams there. Heracles and Gijon, you know, both decent teams, and we absolutely smashed them 7-2. Gijon 4-1. Yes, they are playing in the 2nd division in Spain. However, you know, decent teams within themselves. Finances-wise, we've not actually spent any money. We have, as we've still got 2.6 million in the bank. 341k wage budget, we're spending 305. Overall balance is 70 million. We've actually stuck some money in the kitty. Debt and loan, not much change there. So players leaving, and the first player out the door is Yerten Bong. He has gone off to Vancouver for 120k after we spent 450k on him. He only played 10 games last season for us, and he's already played 3 games in the MLS. Jack Colback has gone off to Birmingham for 750k. Really happy with that deal. We got him on a free transfer after he'd been loaned to us. Played 17 times last season. Decent player at 31-year-old. You know, his wages were quite high as well, so I got him off the books. Atif Kanate, now he was a younger player that we brought in. Got him on an undisclosed fee last season, and I sold him for 350k. Now that'll rise to 400k with add-ons. He could be a real talent, who knows? I may have let one slip through the net here. Current ability is 2-star, potential ability 4-star. But I was looking for a couple of players in the here and now, and I don't think he'll get into the first team over these next 5 years. And then the last player to go was Lewis Graben. He has gone off to Middlesbrough. Now, he did not have the ambition as when I done that team talk. Obviously, he didn't think we were going to get promoted. And because of that, I have moved him on and we got 550k for him. So just over £500,000. Yes, we spent £6 million on him. And he could do stuff for us, don't get me wrong. We may have lost out on 20 goals this season because of it. Hopefully, though, I can bring players in that'll sort that out. But I have only brought one player through the door as it stands. So Ivan Sunjic has joined us from Birmingham. So we bought it for 1.1 million. Played 43 times in the Championship last season. They got him for £6 million. And he is fully capped by Croatia, 24-year-old. Now he's similar to Kolbach, but he's 7 years younger. So I'm really happy with that. Current ability 3-star, potential ability 4-star. Probably going to play him in the midfield. You know, I'm playing 2 in the centre anyway as a ball winner midfielder. He has got the attributes for that. Marking and tackling. That tackling at 12. But when we look at his bravery, his position, his work rate, his stamina, he's got all the things that I need. And he's only going to improve. I would expect to see more international caps for him as well. So I'm looking at bringing another 2 players in. And I am looking at bringing in a bit of international quality as in Giovanni Dos Santos. Now, he did play for Spurs quite a while ago. They took him off for 4.7 million from Barcelona. And his career, you know, it never really took off. He was a wonder kid at one point. He is 32-year-old, but he's got 106 caps for Mexico, 19 goals. He is 32, can play out on that left and right-hand side as an attacking midfielder, can play behind the striker, and can also play up front. Dribbling 16, first touch 16, you know, that crossing 14 as well. He's still got a bit of pace about him, 12 pace and acceleration. If I can get him in on a free transfer, be buzzing about that. And then I'm freshening it up with a bit of younger talent. So Henrique Araujo could potentially be joining us. Now he's 19-year-old, highly recommended, 5-star potential ability. Last season he played in Benfica's B team, scored 11 goals in 28 games. And the scout reports, they're absolutely raving about him. Now he's valued at up to 4.8 million. I'm hoping to spend £2.6 million. That is all of my transfer budget. But there will be add-ons, which could take the deal up to £3.5 million, but we'll see how that goes. That deal is not over the line yet, so that's one to watch. Hopefully get that done over the next couple of days. Dynamics-wise then, team cohesion's average, club atmosphere is now very good, and my geo support is good. When we look at the top influencers, Joe Worrell is now my captain. I've got 5 players as supporters, 19 players I have no real opinion, no players oppose me though. So I've only got 1 team leader as it stands. And then when we look how we're going to probably line up this season, Worrell's obviously going to come in for Figueiredo there. So we're going to have Samba in goal, Leo, McKenna, Worrell and OC22 at the back with Garner and Sunjic in the middle, Cavallo and Maiton out wide. Obviously Dos Santos will probably fall into there as well. And then Johnson and Taylor up front. We grab and go in. I'm a little bit light up front, but I still think we've got enough about us to score goals and win games this season. Competitions-wise, we've already spoken about it. So Sky Bet Championship, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, all to play for. When we're looking at the Sky Bet Championship, the season preview, we're expected a 7th place finish, 12-1. They're not too keen on my recruitment, and I've got no players in that media dream 11. Dominic Solanke and Mitrovic will score goals this season, but it's all about, you know, trying to surpass these teams above us. West Brom, Fulham, Sheffield United, Bournemouth. They are going to be difficult to get past. But if we can get an early run at the start of the season, I think we've got enough about us. And if we aren't in the playoffs as a bare minimum this season, you know, it's an absolute failure. We need to get out the Championship this season. So what we're going to do then, guys, is we are going to move forward till the end of Season 1, where hopefully we'll have 1 foot in the Premier League. Right guys, so Season 1 is down and we've got promoted, we've got a 3rd place finish, we've managed to scrape our way through. We're 1 point behind Fulham in 2nd, but Bournemouth absolutely run the way with it. But yeah, Fulham, Bournemouth getting promoted, we went up in 3rd place. It'll be interesting to see the journey as we ended up winning 2-1 against Sheffield United at Wembley. Philip Zinkenagel and Lys Musset, a player that I've brought in the summer, which we'll talk about shortly. Conor Hourihane with a goal in 83 minutes. Reece Norrington-Davies sent on an 85 for his 2nd yellow card. 13 shots, 6 on target for them, 10 and 5 for us. We managed 48% possession, but very happy. We should have been getting promoted anyway, let's be honest. Let's have a look at this league table then. So like I say, Bournemouth running away with it with 107 points. Ourselves in 3rd place. We played 46, won 27, drew 7, lost 12 though, 12 defeats this season. That's the thing when you're playing that 4-2-4 tactic. You will concede a lot of goals. You can see there we conceded 50. However, we did score 94, which looks like it's the highest. Goal difference plus 44. It's the goals conceded though. 20 more goals conceded than Bournemouth, 88 points on the board. And when we look at the past positions, then how did we get on? So we're actually top for a long way through the season. Match day 15, then we dropped down to second. We sat there for a while. We had a bit of a shocking end to the season, in fairness, but we were in the top 4 all the way through. Yes, we dropped down into 4th a couple of times, but we ended up in 3rd place and managed to get that promotion, which is the big thing. Derby County going down, you'll love to see it. They got off the bottom spot, even with that point deduction, to get themselves off bottom spot, even for a couple of games, is absolutely massive. So looking at the competitions, like I said, that 2-1 victory in the playoff final against Sheffield United gets us into the Premier League. In the FA Cup, we were knocked out in the 3rd round by Chelsea. And in the Carabao Cup, we were knocked out in the 2nd round by Leeds United. So like I said, I brought in Lise Mousset in the last summer after that Araujo deal fell through. I couldn't get that one over the line. The work permit absolutely killing us. So in a last-ditch effort, we brought in Lise Mousset, got him for 2.5 million. 37 games, 18 goals, 4 assists this season. So money well spent. After Sheffield United paid £10 million for him. He's been playing in the Premier League, and we're going to have him in the Premier League next summer potentially. What is he valued at? Up to 8 million. The thing is, will a lot of these players still with us? Do I stick with the same team that got us to the Premier League? That's always the big thing. I'm not quite sure yet. So finances wise, we've got £9 million in the overall balance. Transfer budget is £26 million for this coming season, but we're only getting 50% of transfer revenue. That's not ideal. Wage budget wise, 544k, and we're currently spending 309. So we've got lots of opportunity there. There's lots of flex as well. What about these debt and loans then? So 54 million, obviously that's repayable on promotion to the top division, so that will start happening now. And transfer debt is 6.3 million. Squad dynamics, and plenty of players that want a new deal to reflect their ability. There'll be plenty of pay rise as well. Normally around about 30 to 35% pay rises for promotion. So yeah, we've got that to watch out for. So we were just looking at that wage bill. That may be astronomical come the pay rises in the summer. But then looking at the hierarchy, I've got 3 team leaders, Worrell, Figueiredo and Dos Santos. 13 players to support us, 7 players have no real opinion, and 1 player opposes us, Sunjic. He will not have played a game, I'd imagine, if he's unhappy. He only played 9 games this season, 1.1 million. He was the only real guy that I brought in towards the start of me taking over, and yeah, we've not done him proud there, if I'm honest. Probably ruining his career. Valued at 2.8 million, 1.1 million I spent on him, so we might get him out the door. If he can't get into my first 11 now, he's got no chance when we upgrade next season. And when we talk about upgrading then, when we move up to the Premier League, some of this will take a hit. I would imagine to see a lot of decreases there. Transfer value wise, as these players look at getting worse, they're probably going to become more expensive. The Premier League footballers then, it'd be interesting to see how that works out. Carl Jenkinson's going to be leaving us. He has had a fall from grace. I thought he was pretty decent when he was at Arsenal. But yeah, he can't even get into our first team. He was out on loan at Burton this season in League One. So yeah, Carl Jenkinson will be leaving us as well. And then lastly, looking at player stats, so the top goal scorer is Lise Mousset with 19 goals this season. Like I say, it's interesting to see where he would have finished in the league. He cannot be top goal scorer now, 19 goals. Mitrovic with 22, I expected him to be there. He's a quality striker. As a Newcastle fan, obviously he didn't really do it for us. Not really Premier League quality there. Yes, he did have a campaign in the Championship for Newcastle where he only scored 4 goals, but he has come to life, he really has. This season especially, 41 appearances, 22 goals. But Mousset in there, 4th place, 19 goals. Zinkenagel in there, and also for Player of the Match awards as well, 13 there. But most assists, 21. 7 clear of Ryan Christie in 2nd place. Where's he gone back to? He's gone back to Watford. Is an opportunity to bring him in? I don't think so. I don't really want to be spending 14.5 million on him. And I don't think Watford could have asked any more from us. 42 games for us, 14 goals, 21 assists, 13 Player of the Match performances. That is quality. And when we're looking at then, highest average rating was Worrell with a 7.15. Most assists, Joe Lolly. Obviously, this is because Zinkenagel's gone off. He's not included in these player stats. Best pass completion was Worrell with 96%. Most player of the match awards, Brice Samba and Mousset with 3 apiece. Like I say, Zinkenagel, that's how classy he was for us. Most yellow cards for Scott McKenna with 14. Then looking at the team stats then, we scored 104 goals, which is the best. 53 goals conceded, which is the 8th best. 114 yellow cards this season, 2nd worst. And 1 red card in all competitions, which is the 4th best. Average attendance, 29,440, which was the best in the league. So the City ground was absolutely packed. So there you go then, guys. That's the first season down. Mission accomplished, part 1 anyway, to get us back to the Premier League. We have done that. And now it's consolidation and working our way into Europe. Right then guys, so season 2 is now upon us. The transfer window is done, well, almost over. And I've gone big and I've spent some money in this one. So when we look at it, I've still got 521k left in the transfer budget. Wage budget 604k. I could be spending over that if I can get some more transfers over the line. Overall balance is £7.7 million. But like I say, spend some big money. But before we look at the big money that has been spent, João Carvalho has left, and we bought him for 13.25 million. He only played 2 times for us last season. He's gone off to Toulouse for 1.6 million. What a loss that is. So he's the first player out the door. Another player to go is Giovanni Dos Santos. He has gone back to Mexico, and £1.1 million. I will take that. Yes, he was good for us last season. 38 games, 11 goals, 3 assists. We got him on a free transfer, and we've managed to bring over £1 million back in for him. Lyle Taylor, now 32. I didn't actually realise he was that old, but an offer coming for him from West Brom, 2.9 million. He scored 12 goals for us last season, did well to get us into the Premier League. But yeah, we've let him go. 32-year-old, mega money for him. Nuno da Costa, 31-year-old Cape Verde player. He was on loan last season at KN, and we 2.5 million in for him. That's cracking. 32 games, 11 goals last season, yes. Playing as a striker there. He was never going to feature for us, so we've got the money in for him as well. And then my second choice goalkeeper, Horvath, he has gone off to Red Bull for £500,000. Didn't even play a game for us last season. So first player through the door then is the 29-year-old. He's only 29, Jack Butland. Now obviously he's come in as a number 2. He's got the number 1 jersey, but definitely not going to be first choice goalkeeper. He went to Crystal Palace for £500,000 last season, and we spent 95k on bringing him in. And that was just because of that move that I had to get him in. You know, losing your second string goalkeeper, we had to do something big, and I haven't really got the quality in the reserves as of yet. So yeah, we've brought in an English international in Jack Butland. The next player through the door was Courtney House, and he joined us on a free transfer from Aston Villa. Played 4 times in the Premier League last season, didn't do too well with a 6.55 rating, but can play as a centre-back and as a left-back. Now, he is accomplished there. You know, he's not a natural, however. Head and mark and tackling, 15, 13, 14. Strength, 15. Acceleration and pace, both 14 as well. A decent player, current ability 2.5 star, potential ability 3.5 star, and he's valued at up to £2 million. Not bad for a player that we got on free transfer, and he's only 27-year-old. Now, I've brought in a bit of experience with Fabian Delph joining us. Now, he joined us for 700k from Everton, played 18 times in the Premier League last season. And the only reason I've brought him is because he's versatile. He can play out at left back, in a defensive anchor role, should I decide to deploy that tactic, but more or less in the centre of the midfield. Current ability 3.5 star, and he's obviously playing to his full potential at 32-year-old. But yeah, 24k a week, you know, might be on the high side. Not really, though. He's a player that I reckon will get 25 games for us this season. Now, Brentford have been relegated back down to the Premier League, and I've brought in Mads Bech Sorensen. Now, he's a centre-back by trade, 23-year-old Danish under-21 international. Current ability 2.5 star, potential ability 5.5 star. Now, I like this guy. I've had him before as a centre-back, but predominantly for me, I would like to play him as a left-back. Now, he hasn't really got that dribbling and crossing that I would want for my wing-backs. However, you know, long throws at 19, we'll look to utilise that. We brought him in from Brentford for 6.5 million. He played 10 games in the Premier League last season, a 6.57 rating. The next player in then was Fard Moufi. Now, he is a right back. Moroccan, 5 caps, 1 goal. He's playing to his full potential. Currently valued up to £5 million. Very, very all-rounded player. You can see here, early not as great, you know, jump and reach 8, but heading is 11, you know, so he can do bits. When we look at the history, I spent £2 million on him. He played 25 times in the Portuguese Premier League last season, and I'm happy to bring him in. Quality player and a quality addition to the squad. But then the big money move was for Lorenzo Luca. Now, this guy, I've had him in other rebuilds, and he's absolutely quality. Currently valued up to £50 million already. And the longer we keep him, the better. Do I still think he'll be with us by the end of the save? Not if I don't get into Europe, I don't know. A couple of seasons in, he may disappear. Current ability 4 star, potential ability 5 star. We brought him in from Pisa for 15 million, but that may raise to 16.5 million. He scored 15 goals in Serie B last season, and he is quality. He's 6'7", jump and reach 18, heading 18, finishing 16, composure 14. He's not the quickest, strength, likes to play with his back to goal. He will get us plenty of goals this season at 21-year-old. Absolute quality. When we look at his contract, he's got a minimum release clause in there of 48.5 million. You know, as disappointed as I would be to see him go, I'd be happy to get that kind of money come in for him. So looking at the squad dynamics then with all upheaval, team cohesion is good, club atmosphere is good, and my geo support is very good. I've got a couple of players that aren't happy. Sunjik, the player that I brought in last season, is leaving. He's going on a free transfer at the end of next season. He does not want to renew his contract, so he will be leaving. And Scott McKenna wants a new contract. However, he wanted far too much money, so I've backed off. I'll look at doing that before the end of the transfer window. So looking at the squad dynamics, and I've got one player that opposes us, that's McKenna. Obviously not happy with the contract dispute. 7 players that have no real opinion and 17 players to support. It's not ideal that I've got a player that opposes us when we're going into the start of the season. But looking at the tactics then, I am going to stick with the 4-2-4. Now, I was worried and I was going to drop to the anchor, a bit more stable on a positive mentality. I think we'll play as a positive mentality with the tiki-taka, but we're going to go with Samba in goal, House, Beck Sorensen, Worrell and Mufi at the back, with Delph and Odja in the middle, Mighton and Johnson out wide, with Luca and Muset up front. Now, Muset, I'm expecting big things from him this season. Luca as well. These attacking options and plenty of goals, but I'm more concerned about conceding plenty as we leaked goals last season. Competitions-wise, then obviously we've got the Premier League, which has started. We're yet to play a game. The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. Our first game against Rotherham, not too far to travel there. And then when we look at the season preview, we'll expect to get relegated. We're 1,000 to 1 to win the league. Leicester done it? I don't think we'll be doing it though, but yes, we are favourites to go down. Obviously, we've got no players in the Media Dream 11. Manchester City favourites to win the league. Newcastle 20 to 1 there. Interesting to see what business they have done when we look at the transfer history. They spent £114 million this season. Wowzers. Louis Sibi in there as well. He's a good player. He does develop nicely. I shouldn't really say that about a rival. However, he is a quality player. And then finally looking at the schedule, and so we're going to start off with a Premier League game against Wolves, Bournemouth, Southampton, Arsenal and Fulham being my first 5 games. Now for me, there's only really Arsenal out of those 5 games that worry us. We're playing Bournemouth and Fulham who both come up with us, so there's an opportunity for us to hit the ground running. Realistically, don't want to get smashed by Wolves as that will hurt our morale. But what we're going to do then, guys, we're going to move forward to the end of season 2, where hopefully we've avoided relegation and I'm still in a job. Right then, guys, so season 2 is down. We've ended up in 15th place. We've only just missed out on relegation by 4 points. As Wolves going down, Crystal Palace and Burnley. Burnley got absolutely smashed. 19 points all season. Liverpool and Manchester City both on 90 points, but Liverpool winning the league on goal difference. When we're looking at the past positions then, you know, we have been all over the place by the look of it. We had a decent start to the season and we really tailed off. We're beaten 1-0 by Liverpool, then 2-0 by City, then 3-0 by Chelsea as we continue to plummet down the table into 16th place. And yeah, we struggled. We were just outside the relegation places towards the back end of the season. And we won Leeds United on the last game of the season to jump up a place. What about our performance in the rest of the competitions? And obviously we had a bit of a shocker in the league. But we did stay in the Premier League, that's the main thing. I wanted to survive and I wanted to stay in the job and I could have been sacked if I'm completely honest. But after seeing our movement in the Premier League, you can see we won 11 games, drew 7, lost 20, scored 56, conceded 85 goals. Wow, minus 29 goal difference, 40 points on the board. Did we concede the most? No, Crystal Palace, who were relegated, conceded 88. But then we were the second worst with 85. What about goals scored? Where did we rank there? So we ranked within the top 7 teams for goals scored. It's just those goals conceded. Again, it's got a bit of tactic. Maybe need to have a look at that. But looking at performance in the other 2 competitions, and we were knocked out in the 3rd round of the FA Cup by Liverpool, and we were knocked out in the 4th round of the Carabao Cup by Brighton. Not ideal, so we didn't get into the last stages of the Cups again. But what about squad dynamics with that performance? So team cohesion is good, club atmosphere is good, and my geo support is very good. I've got players that want to leave and want better contracts. Scott McKenna wants to start more games. So top influencers wise then, I've only got one player that has no real opinion of us. One player doesn't support us. That's House. He's not happy with us. So in the last 2 seasons, we've had 2 players that don't support us, but 23 players supporting us, team leaders, everybody in there. Just Mufi, an influential player that has no real opinion of us. So looking at finances then for this coming season, our overall balance is £47 million. My transfer budget is £44 million, and I'm going to get 65% of potential transfer revenue. I'm going to ask for more there. So let's increase the percentage of transfer revenue. They're going to let me know over the next coming days. Hopefully by the time you come back, that'll be up to 80%. Wage budget is just under £1 million. So it's almost 300k higher than what I'm spending at the minute. And there's going to be no more pay rise. You know, there's no promotion pay rise. So what you see is what you get there. So looking at the player stats then, Lorenzo Luca scored 80 goals this season. I told you, this guy's absolutely incredible. 22-year-old, he's still not fully capped by Italy. However, he has got 2 under-21 caps and he's valued at up to 50 million. He's currently 5-star, playing to his full potential. Be interesting to see how he got on as far as the league performance and his goals within the league. Let's have a look. So he actually finished joint third with 23 goals, which was the same as Lukaku, Salah and Ronaldo both with 26. Most tackles won, 88 was Courtney House as well, and he isn't happy about where he's playing. Mighton in there with 83 as well. We do like to get stuck in, obviously plenty of yellow cards I would imagine. Luca also had the highest average rating of a 7.4, most assists with 10, so he was setting up the goals as well as scoring them. Joe Worrell had the best pass completion at 97%. Lorenzo Luca had 9 player of the match awards, which is the highest. Murphy got 19 yellow cards, which is the most. And red cards wise, Worrell, Murphy and Fabian Delph with 1 apiece. When we look at the team stats then, we scored 56 goals, which was the 7th best. There was 85 goals conceded there, which is the 2nd worst. Yellow cards wise, 119, which is the worst. Over 100 yellow cards again. 3 red cards, which is the 5th worst. And we had the 5th worst average attendance. Now, we've gone from the top attendance in the Championship to the 5th worst in the Premier League. And then I think before we go into this summer transfer window, we need to decide about this tactic. Now, we got absolutely smashed last season. Do I go with that 4-2-4, carry on? We're playing positively as well. I've dropped the mentality a bit from attacking to positive, but do I just look at improving this back 4 overall, including the goalkeeper? Samba, not really a Premier League goalkeeper, even though, he's playing to his full potential of 3.5 stars. I think we could do a bit better there. But the thing is, do I just leave these top 6 and improve this back 5 and use that as the base to go on? Because Luca up front, he's a superstar, so we build a team around him up front, but at the back I've got issues. So that is what we're going to do then, guys. This summer transfer window is really about me deciding on that tactic and then building a decent base regardless of what I do. If I go 3 at the back, 5 at the back, 4 at the back, who knows? It's all about improving in those defensive areas. So season 3 then, guys. This season, we survived last season. There's a bit more to it this season, obviously, as I want to start climbing the table. Mid-table finishing will be fantastic, so we're not looking over our shoulder. However, I didn't mention at the end of last season, Bournemouth, who got promoted with us, ended up finishing on 57 points, 7th in the league, and got a Europa Conference place. That is insane. Bournemouth doing bits there, as Scott Parker is still the man in charge as well. He's still, like I say, 7th place finish, absolutely massive last season. So for us then, it's all about the here and now in this transfer window. So I've got 2.9 million left in the transfer budget. My wage budget is 928k. I am currently spending 68 grand under that. Overall balance now is 36 million. Debt and loan now, we've done some damage to that. Now at 26 million pounds, and the transfer debt is 7 million. We've had 2 players leave the club, and the first player being Bryce Samba. Now he has gone off to PSV for 9.25 million. I did say this guy would probably last the entirety of the save, but he's just out of his depth in the Premier League. May have been a decent deputy, but we did bring in Jack Butland, and he's quite happy to sit on the bench. I don't think Samba is. So like I say, 9.25 million to PSV. He'll be a regular starter there. He's already played 1 game and kept 1 clean sheet. So yeah, all the best to him. And then the other player to go is Mohamed Draga. So he has gone off to AORUS in Greece. Now, we sold him for 210k after spending 900k on him from Olympiacos. I'm sure there was some deal there to get him to the club. But yeah, he played 18 times his last season, a 6.72 rating, and he is average at best, so we let him go. So coming in then, we have gone for it this season. The first player I've brought in is Willian Rocha. Now, I haven't spent massive money on any players. I've spent a lot of money, but there's no player over 6.75 million coming into the club. I have not spent big this time round. So we have brought him in for 2.1 million from Portugal. What a player he is as well. He's got all the stuff that I need. Technically, overall, he's not great, but heading 16, marking 16, tackling 17, those mentals at the top there, aggression, anticipation, bravery, really good for me. Can play in that defensive midfield role. However, I wanted to play him as a centre back, and when you look at what's highlighted, he fits the bill. Current ability 3.5 star, potential ability 3.5 star, so he's playing to his full potential. 28-year-old, I'm still going to get my prime years out of him. Then I brought in another centre-back. I brought in a 24-year-old Ryan Porteous, Scottish international with 15 caps, 1 goal. And we brought him in for Hibs for 6.25 million. That is an absolute steal. Played 27 games last season, across the border. And like I say, really good player again. Heading 15, marking 16, tackling 18, work rate 16. That aggression 12 could be a worry. However, he's not afraid to get stuck in. He's also brave at 14. Now valued up to £16 million as well. But a 24-year-old... again, he's a player that's going to be with us probably until the end of this save now. Then I wanted to bring in a bit of international quality in the goalkeeping department with Bryce Sambalive, and I've brought in Nick Pope, and this guy's going to be my number 1. Yes, he's taking the number 14 jersey. That's what he was after, bizarrely. But he's decent. At 31-year-old, being capped 7 times by England. If you've watched any of my other rebuilds when I've brought Nick Pope in, or any of my other saves, in fairness, In my opinion, I think Nick Pope should be number 1. Now, I know Jordan Pickford is an absolute Jekyll and Hyde kind of footballer, but Nick Pope, for me, I think should be England's number 1. So whenever there's an opportunity to bring him in, I bring him in. Now, we didn't spend massive money on him, 5.75 million. Yes, he had a bit of a shocker last season as well. Burnley obviously got relegated, 38 games played, 71 conceded. The season before that wasn't great for him anyway, but I'm hoping that he'll be better for us. Current ability 4-star, potential ability 4-star, obviously at 31. In his prime years, should be giving us everything he's got, and his media description is a commanding goalkeeper. The next player in then was Angel Gomez. Now, he has come in to play behind the strikers, can also play in midfield. 22-year-old, capped at under 20 level for England. Current ability 3-star, potential ability 4-star. And we got him in for a snip at 4.7 million. Obviously, he was out in France last season with Lille, but yeah, he played 5 games last season, 6.62 rating. Didn't exactly set the world alight, but that's why we've managed to get him in on the cheap. Then we've brought in a quality left back. Now we've brought in Matteo Ruggeri, and he has joined us from Atlanta for 4.2 million. He only played 1 game last season. I'm not worried about that at all. He played 33 games for Salentina the season before, but for me, quality player. Yes, those arrows probably make him look worse than what he is, but a 21-year-old, he's going to develop nicely. Now, he's probably going to play as a wing back out on that left-hand side, as you'll see the formation change shortly. Current ability 3-star, potential ability 5-star, very all-rounded, as you can see there from his analysis. Very good player, 21-year-old, is going to develop nicely. Now, he was a wonder kid in the FM21 cycle, Thiago Almada. Now, he has joined us from Velez for £6 million. He played 26 times last season, 6 goals, 8 assists, a 7.33 rating, playing over in Argentina. But yeah, he's going to play behind the striker again. He can play in that midfield role, but where I want him is assisting behind the striker. 22-year-old, current ability 3.5-star, potential ability 4-star, so he's not a million miles away. Very good player attributes-wise. And again, you know, we've brought in a younger player there that's going to develop throughout this save. Then a bit of a wild card. I brought in Adam Armstrong, takes the number 9 jersey, and he's going to play up beside Luca up front. Now, we have got Lise Musset as well, who is also very fast. We brought him in for 3.8 million from Southampton after they spent £15 million on the guy. My one worry would be he's played 21 games in the Premier League and scored 2 goals. So that is not ideal. But acceleration and pace both 17, finishing 13, composure 12. He's still 26-year-old, currently valued £5 million. Current ability 2.5-star, does worry me a little bit. Potential ability 3.5-star. But I think this guy playing off Luca is going to get goals. So hopefully, fingers crossed and all that, he does the business for us this time round. Then I started bringing in some of the older players. So Ryan Fredericks has joined us. He joined us from Rangers for a snip, in fairness, 850k. After they spent 115k on him. He played 1 time in the SPL last season. I'm not worried about that. Acceleration and pace both high, and that is really what I'm after. Crossing and dribbling as well for a right back that I want to push forward. Now, he's currently valued 6.4 million, and I will take that. Scottish international, yes, 30-year-old, been capped 9 times, but he's more of a depth option. And when you look here, all about the speed. Another older player then that joins us is the 32-year-old Nigerian Victor Moses. Now, he's got plenty of Premier League pedigree. Obviously, being at Chelsea, he did some bits at Wigan as well. He's also been at Crystal Palace, but he went off to Spartak Moscow for £3 million. Only played 2 times last season, and I spent quite a bit of money on him for someone who is a 32, 2.6 million. But again, he's another option out on that right-hand side. He's playing to his full potential naturally, but he is still valued at 7.2 million. And his wages wise, yes, 26k a week. He may only play 10 games for us, but that is one of the cheaper wages now at the club. And then the last player through the door then was Zaidu Sanusi. Now he's here to challenge Ruggeri out on that left-hand side. Acceleration and pace both high, crossing and dribbling good as well. He's playing to his full potential, which is 3.5-star. 26-year-old Nigerian, and we got him for 6 million from Braga. Absolutely buzzing with that. He played 28 games last season in the Portuguese Premier League, and yet a very good option out on that left-hand side. So tactically then, why have I brought these wing-backs in? So we're going to play a 3 at the back, 2 wing-backs, 2 in the midfield, 1 player behind 2 strikers, and this is probably going to be my starting 11. So I've got Pope in goal, Beck Sorensen, Rocker and Worrell at the back, with Ruggeri and Moses out wide, Delph and Ojeda in the middle, with Almada behind Luca and Armstrong. I think that'll do bits for me this season. I hope it does bits. It was the Libero. I've got rid of the Libero. I don't think I've got anybody who could really fit into that role. It's a custom vertical tick-attacker on a positive mentality. I don't want to go too over the top to start with, but I think I've got a very good team there. And when you look at the depth there, that team, for me, is a real improvement on the team of last season. So squad dynamics wise then, team cohesion good, club atmosphere average, and managerial support very good. Scott McKenna wants more games, and Courtney House wants a new deal. I've actually offered him that new deal, so we'll see what happens. Anybody opposes? No, I've got 8 players that have no real opinion of us, but 19 players now support us. And when we look at the competitions for this season, obviously the Premier League, the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, we start off with a game against Sheffield Wednesday. so not far to travel there. And then looking at the season preview, then we're expected a 19th place finish this time round, so we've moved off bottom spot. Blackburn, Brentford and Watford promoted last season. Brentford and Watford expected a better place finishing us, so we'd need to try and get ourselves out of the relegation zone again. Obviously, we've got nobody in the Media Dream 11. But yeah, when we look at the schedule, it's not being kind to us. Our first 3 games this season in the Premier League are Chelsea, Manchester City and Arsenal. Who's in charge of Chelsea at the minute? Zinedine Zidane is the man in charge of Chelsea. What about Manchester City then? As it's normally, it's Marcelo Bielsa. It's normally Klopp, and then Pep Guardiola goes off to Liverpool. So let's just have a look who's in charge at Liverpool. Jurgen Klopp is still there. And lastly, let's have a look at Spurs, because they have a massive merry-go-round. And they have Lucien Favre there. So there we go. So what we're going to do then, guys, is we are going to move forward to the end of season 3, where hopefully we've had a better season than the last. We got absolutely pummeled last season, obviously considered the most goals in the league. So this season, hopefully with that change of formation, it's going to be a bit tighter. So yeah, fingers crossed, and let's see how we get on. So season 3 now out the way, guys, and as you can see there, 9th place finish, absolutely incredible. A top half finish this season, 38 games played. We've managed to finish with a +1 goal difference now. That might be a shambles for a 9th place finish. I don't think so. When you look at Leeds -1, they're above us, -4, Tottenham above us as well, and Everton on -4 goal difference. It's basically what the top 5 teams that have got a plus goal difference throughout, and then ourselves as well, which is fantastic. 52 points on the board. Let's have a look at the league table in more detail. So 38 games played, 15 wins, 7 draws, 16 defeats. So 62 goals scored this season, 61 conceded. Isn't horrific if I'm honest, like I say, +1 goal difference, 52 points on the board. Now our form looks really good towards the back end of the season. 4 wins out of 5 in our last 5 games. So looking at the past positions, we've basically been a mid-table side all the way through. We got up to 8th place on match day 17, a 0-0 draw with West Ham United, and we remained there with a 1-0 victory over Newcastle United. That's really our highest position apart from the start of the season. But then we won West Ham United 1-0 on the second to last game, and on our final game we won 4-0 against Leeds United, and that basically kept us in 9th place, which is fantastic. Brentford, Blackburn, Watford all going down, Liverpool staying up. What about our performance in the rest of the competitions? So like I say, 9th place finish there, that is banging, a top half finish. 3rd season in, 2nd season in the Premier League, not bad going at all. But in the FA Cup we were knocked out in the 5th round by Chelsea. In the Carabao Cup we went out in the 3rd round by Newcastle. So what about finances? And we've got £81 million in the overall balance. We've got £82 million to spend this summer, with a 95% transfer revenue being available from any sales that we make. 953k, so we're just under £1 million on the wage budget. We're currently spending 900k. Debt and loans then, the debt has gone, there you go. And transfer debt is £3 million. So what about squad dynamics? Plenty of issues there. There'll be lots of unhappy players now. We've got a really deep squad. Team cohesion's good, club atmosphere is average, and managerial support is excellent. But what about these top influencers then? So Courtney House still hates us. Not happy with that, but I'm assuming it's another broken promise. I think his time at the club is up. Watch him play loads of games. He's played 34 games as well. So he's a regular. Why is he so unhappy? No idea. 24 player supporters, 2 players have no real opinion, 1 player opposes. Let's find out why Courtney House is hating on us. Playing in a weak role, that is literally it. He's playing 34 games, he's played 34 games a season, and he's not happy about it. So what about player stats then? Lorenzo Luca got 33 goals this season, which makes him the top scorer. I am interested to see how he fares in comparison to everybody else. So most goals then when we see it. Luca with 29 goals this season in 2nd place. Mo Salah with 33. Adeyemi at Liverpool now with 26 goals. And Duvan Zapata, he's got to be cracking on. 33-year-old, how many goals did he get? 25 in the league this season. 46.5 million on him. That's absolutely crazy money. But Luca also had the highest average rating with a 7.62. Most assists was Gomez with 10. Best pass completion, Worrell with 95%. Most player of the match awards was Luca with 12. Most yellow cards was William Rocker with 12. And most red cards was Ojeda with 2. But what about the team stats then? Let's have a look. So team stats wise then, we scored 62 goals, which is the 4th best, so we're up there again. Conceded 61, which is the 8th worst. I will take that. That's much improved from last season. Yellow cards wise, 75, which is the 5th worst. Red cards, though, 4 this season. Far too physical. And our average attendance, 30,000, similar to last season. 6th worst. So, yeah, really happy with how this season's played out. These finances, though, absolutely buzzing. We've got £82 million to spend. And I intend to spend it as we've got 2 seasons left. We've got no European football again next season. but we do need to start pushing on in these cup competitions. So what we're going to do, as always, we're going to move forward throughout this summer transfer window, where I hopefully will have spent this £82 million in its entirety. Right then guys, so we are back, and I promised to spend the money and I just haven't been able to, and the inevitable has happened. We'll start with this straight away, as this is breaking news. So Lorenzo Luca has left us. He's gone to Bayern Munich. They activated his release clause and he went off for 48.5 million. He's played one game in the Bundesliga already and he scored. Surprise, surprise. You know, 29 goals for us in 38 games last season. 23 the season before. He's been absolutely fantastic for us. The thing that winds me up most of all about this is we lost out on even more money as Tottenham Hotspur doing Spursy things, come in with a £70 million offer, even though his release clause is 48.5 million, and he decided to go to Bayern. Obviously, I'd have rather he went to Spurs just because of the money. But yeah, he's gone to Bayern for 48.5 million. When we look at the finances, it's pushed all my finances back up. We've got just over 78 million in the transfer budget. Overall balance is 89 million. And wage budget is just over £1 million. Debt and loans, we're now down to zero on net debt. Transfer debt is still 2.2 million. So players leaving us, I'm the first player to go is Tobias Figueiredo. Now he has gone off to Blackburn for 275k. Been decent for us, but last season he only played 3 games in the Premier League. And he's getting on a bit now, you know, 30-year-old, so we've let him go. Lys Mousset, now a player that we bought him for 2.5 million, has gone off to Huesca for £5 million. Played 20 times last season and only scored 2 goals. Now Luca, obviously, he was claiming them all for himself and Mousset just wasn't getting them. So he has gone off to Huesca, like I say, doubled the money on him, £5 million. Scott McKenna didn't want to be with us any longer, so he has gone off to Watford for £1 million. We spent 5.5 million on him. He's played 2 times in the Championship already, only played 5 times last season, and was becoming a bit of a disruptive individual amongst the squad, so yeah, we've let him go. Ryan Fredrickson, a player that come with us last season, and yeah, we bought him for 850k. Played 7 times, trust me. We've managed to sell him on for £1 million. He's also gone to Huesca, so he joins Musa out there. And then another transfer that I was surprised with, 2.5 million for Victor Moses. Slovan Bratislava have come in for him. He's played 2 times for them this season. We spent 2.6 million on him. We got 13 games out of him, 6.44. Didn't really have a future with us. You know, I took a bit of a risk bringing an older player in. So yes, he's gone off to Slovan Bratislava. And then obviously Lorenzo Luca, the big transfer, going off to Bayern Munich. So coming in then, the first player I brought in was the 24-year-old Mexican, Diego Lenz. Now he joins us on a free transfer from Real Betis. He played 27 times last season in the Liga, 3 goals, 1 assist, over a 7 rating. As you can see there, he can play out in those wide areas, predominantly on the left-hand side where he's a natural. Acceleration 16, pace 14, cross and dribbling 15. Technically, he's not great. Physically, he's down. Hopefully, you know, he's valued at £27 million already. Even if he only has 1 season for us and we end up selling him on for £15 million, that's still £15 million in the bank when we got him on a free transfer. So there's a little bit of money ball going on there. We then brought in a defensive anchor, Dennis Zakaria. He joins us from Aston Villa, where they spent £10.5 million on him. He was actually out on loan last season at Karabag in Azerbaijan. He played 15 times, 2 goals, 2 assists there. Don't know what he's doing out there. They spent £10.5 million on him, did Villa. We spent 6.75. And it's a decent option there. His mental and physicals are good. Technically, a little bit more to be desired. However, playing in an anchorman role, that ball-winning midfielder, he's got 16 tackling. That's just what I need. Then I spent some big money on a 28-year-old English international, Harry Winks. Now, this guy's divisive amongst the fans. I like him. I think Harry Winks is a good player. There's plenty of Spurs fans, though, that don't want him there. You know, he's been there all the way through. Played 20 times in the Premier League last season. 1 player of match performance. He's not an absolute superstar, but we did spend £27 million on him, and he'll sit in the centre of my midfield. I would like him to get more caps. He's got a continental reputation. He's now valued up to £43 million. We are spending big money on wages, though, 68k on him a week. He's all rounded apart from that aerial ability. Jumping reach 6, heading 8. Yeah, so we won't be winning too many headers in the midfield. But then I had to replace Luka, and I've brought in Krzysztof Piatek, 29-year-old Polish international, 24 caps, 10 goals. Finishing and composure both 16, balance 16. This guy should be getting me goals. Valued at £20 million. Now he's a nomadic striker though, as he does get about. Hertha Berlin spent £19.5 million on him. He's played 30 times last season in the Bundesliga, 9 goals. And we spent £6.5 million on him. I'm happy with it. Is he going to be a direct replacement for Luka? Yes. Is he going to get the goals that Luka got? I don't think so. You can see here though, when we look at his attribute analysis, very attacking, as you would expect. But he only scored 36 goals in 123 appearances for Hertha Berlin. and that does worry us. So I am relying on this guy, if I'm completely honest. And then when we look at the overall funds then, we sold for a total of 58 million, we spent for a total of 40.5. I've still got loads of money to spend. I will not be bringing anybody else in. I just cannot find anybody that makes the team any better. So tactics-wise, and I've changed it up, we're going to play a 4-1-2-3. That's the way I'm going with an anchor man. So Pope in goal, Sanusi, Porteous, Worrell, and Murphy at the back with Zachariah coming in at anchor role, Almada and Winks in the middle with Lanes and Mighton out wide and Piatek up front. Hopefully, this formation will do some damage. When we look at the club vision for this season then, I've got a B+ so far. The expectation is to avoid a relegation battle, to reach the 4th round of the FA Cup and to reach the 3rd round of the EFL Cup. We've got to start pushing on. Really got to start looking at some silverware now. As competitions wise then, I've just spoken about the 3. We go up against Middlesbrough in the 2nd round of the Carabao Cup. The Premier League has kicked off, however, we haven't played a game yet. Newcastle topped the league there after one game, with Brighton and Southampton as well. I wouldn't expect it to stay like that. Squad dynamics then, I've still got players that are unhappy, players want better deals, want to start more games, and so on and so on. Team cohesion, club atmosphere, Maggio Sport is all very good. Top influencers wise, no players opposers, 10 player supporters, 14 players have no real opinion. The one thing I would say about all this though, is I haven't got a team that's fully supported us all the way through. I've got a lot of players that have no real opinion, and yes, I have had a high turnover of players. I haven't really got a core squad, I keep ripping players out and bringing players in. However, it's taken a lot of work to get them on side. Then looking at the season preview then, I am favourites to go down, not ideal, 1,000-1. Manchester City favourites to win the league. Teams that were promoted last season, Burnley, Crystal Palace and Wolves, all doing bits. One thing I want to talk about though is Bournemouth. They obviously got European football last season. Well, they went into the Europa Conference League and they only went and won it. Only went and won it, can you believe it? As they're in the full Europa League now after winning 2-1 against Rennes. Bournemouth setting the benchmark. They were promoted with us. And I said we'd struggle to get to Europe. They've gone and done it. And they've gone and won some silverware. So for anybody that says winning European football in 3 seasons is far too much, Bournemouth are the example. Yes, it's the Europa Conference League. But if I had done that, I'd have been told that I was cheating. So there you go, Bournemouth doing bits. And then looking at the schedule-wise, and we've had a fantastic pre-season. We start with games against Liverpool, Arsenal, Fulham, Manchester City and Leeds. So 3 big games out of those 5 clubs. Fulham and Leeds we might get something from, but it's going to be hard work against Liverpool, Arsenal and Manchester City. So there we go then, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to move forward through season 4. We're really going to be pushing for some kind of silverware this season. Right then, guys, so we've only gone and done it. We've only gone and got into Europe with a 5th place finish. 67 points on the board. 11 points behind Manchester United. I'm not worried about that, but 4 points clear of Everton in 6th place. And that means we get a full European spot. When we look at the rules, that 5th place team gets £30 million and the Europa League group stage place. Massive. Obviously 6th place would have got us that anyway. 7th place was the Europa Conference League. But looking at this league table, like I say, a 5th place finish, 38 games played, 21 wins, 4 draws, 13 defeats is not ideal. 70 goals scored, 60 conceded, plus 10 goal difference, 67 points. We lost 2 of our last 5 games with 3 wins in there, but yeah, only 4 draws all season. Interesting to see, obviously, when we look at the past positions, how did we get on? So we didn't start off overly well, but obviously that scheduling for the first 5 games was not kind to us at all. But yeah, we've worked our way up into 4th place on a couple of occasions with a 2-0 victory over Palace and a 2-0 victory over Arsenal before we got ourselves into 5th place with a 4-0 victory over Wolverhampton Wanderers, and we just ploughed on through. Now obviously after we lost those first few games, so the first game we lost 2-0 to Liverpool, then we lost 3-0 to Arsenal, we got a 3-2 victory over Fulham before getting smashed 4-2 by Manchester City. By this point I changed the tactic and we had gone back to that 4-2-4. It was the way to go. It got us this far. We'd done decent with it. Yes, we did try to free at the back with the wing backs, but I think the 4-2-4 with Piatek and Armstrong up front, that was the way to go, and it got us in 5th place, so I'll take it. It was the right decision at the time. So looking at the competitions, and like I say, a 5th place finish. We were knocked out in the FA Cup in the 3rd round by Reading, but we've won the Carabao Cup. We've won the Carabao Cup on penalties against Manchester United. So as we can see there, we were actually in the game. 9 shots, 5 on target, 47% possession. And who's missed a penalty? Greenwood misses the penalty and we win 5-4. So our 4th season in, we win the Carabao Cup, our first bit of silverware. And that has come out of nowhere because we have been poor for the last 3 seasons. And the 4th season, we get a 5th place finish in the league and we win the Carabao Cup. So financially then, how are we looking? We've got £89 million to spend this transfer window. We're still getting 95% of the transfer revenue. Overall balance now, £145 million. We are on it there, as we started the season on £87 million. Debt and loans then, we've got no net debt, and our transfer debt is 353k. Loving that. Dynamics wise though, plenty of players unhappy naturally. Team cohesion very good, club atmosphere average, and managerial support is very good. Top influencers, I've got 3 players that have no real opinion of us, 20 players now support us, and funnily enough, nobody opposes after the season we've just had, which is fantastic. But what about these player stats then? Piatek scored 30 goals in all competitions this season, 26 in the league. When we look at it, 26 goals in 37 appearances, 4 in the cup as well. I wonder how he got on in comparison to everybody else in the league. Let's have a look. So Piatek in second place with 26 goals. He was 1 goal behind Salah, who scored 27, and a goal ahead of Vlahovic with 25 as well. Vlahovic at Manchester City. I bet he scores goals for fun. He didn't last season, only 14, but 25 in 27 games this season. The highest average rating was Ruggeri with a 7.20. Most assists, Ruggeri and Almada with 12 apiece. Best pass completion was Waller with 96%. Most player of the match awards was Piatek with 7. Most yellow cards was Mufi with 12. And Zakaria got 3 red cards this season. That is poor. But what about the team stats then? So team stats wise, 70 goals, which is the 5th best. So we can score goals. That's never been an issue. Conceding them though is the problem. We conceded 60 goals this season, which is the 7th worst. Yellow cards wise, 75, which is the 3rd worst. 5 red cards as well, 2nd worst. But average attendance, just over 30,000 again, 6th worst there. So what a season. As next season we get into the Europa League proper, you know, we don't even have to go through those qualifying stages, which is massive. And even if we fall apart in Europe in the Europa League, a 3rd place finish would see us going to the Conference League. And you never know what could happen in there. So there we go then, guys. What we're going to do is we're going to move forward into the start of Season 5, where I have got some money to spend, and I really need to add some depth to this squad. So yes, an exciting transfer window coming up. Right then, guys, so Season 5, this is it. And we've gone big in the transfer window. I said I was going to spend some money, and it was time to go big or go home, really. So when we look at these finances straight away, I've got £28 million in the transfer budget left. Wage budget-wise, 1.3 million. Wage budget-wise, 1.377 million, and we're just spending on that 300k on that. Debt and loan-wise, we're decent there. Overall balance is £84 million. Profit and loss this month is £2.4 million. But we're in the red, £36 million this season. Transfers wise though, what's causing? So Willian Rocker, a player that I did not want to let go. A player that I just wish I could have done a little bit more with. He has gone off to Reims. He has gone off for 1.4 million. So I made a 500k loss. But he's played 2 times there already and assisted twice with 1 player of the match performance. Now this guy, I rated him. I think he had decent attributes in all the right areas. But he just wanted a new challenge, so I let him go. Courtney House, a player that we brought in on a free transfer, has gone off to Wolves. He's gone to play in the Championship, 800k. He played 9 times for his last season and had become a fringe player, so we moved him on. Brian Ojeda, he's gone back to Paraguay, I think, yes. He's gone to Cerro Porteño for 3.8 million. He's played 7 times for them already. He only played 5 times for his last season. He fell out of favour. Obviously, bringing in the light of Harry Winks has pushed him down the pecking order, so it was time to move him on. And I'm happy to get 3.8 million for him. And then an absolute crazy transfer as Adam Armstrong has gone off to the Championship, £30 million from Wolves. That is mental. He played 35 times for his last season, scored 11 goals. We paid £3.8 million for him. And I thought Southampton had overpaid at £15 million, but Wolves, £30 million. The hope in this guy is going to get him back into the Premiership. And I'm not sure. He's been a decent player for us as Armstrong, but £30 million is crazy money. So coming in then, the first player that I've brought in is Rico Henry. Now, more of a depth option here. There's quite a few depth players that I've brought in. Obviously, we just played in Europe. We're going to have plenty more games. So Rico Henry is coming in on that left-hand side. I do like him. He's a quality player. I had him in my bottom of Christmas save with Brentford. I've brought in a couple of Brentford players. Obviously, Beck Sorensen in there as well. But he went to West Ham for £7 million last season, where he played 10 times in the Premier League. And we brought him in for £6.75 million. He's got decent pace and acceleration, crossing and dribbling, as I like my defenders to get further forward, both 14. So like I say, a decent squad option. 28-year-old, you know, he's just about to hit his prime as well. I also brought in Troy Parrott, so I don't think this guy really needs any introduction, you know, but if a wonder kid at the minute, but he's now 23-year-old, 21 caps for Ireland with 5 goals already. Current ability 3-star, potential ability 3.5-star. We brought him in for 3.5 million from Spurs, where he was basically rotten. He played for Swansea last season in the Championship, 35 games, 14 goals. And while he's not the finished article yet, like I say, I need some depth options, and he's quality in that position, and he'll offer a different option up front. I then spent 3.5 million on Trilly. We brought him from Deportivo La Coruña, And I bought it, I just activated his release clause and we brought him in. Now his current ability is 2.5 star, his potential ability is 3.5 star. 22-year-old, just a depth option, acceleration and pace, quick again, cross and 6. I'm not expecting to see too many games out of him, but he's already valued at £12 million, and we're not breaking the bank on wages, 23k per week. But yeah, happy with that option there. Then we started to bring in some higher caliber players. So Stefani Sensi joins us. He's an Italian international with 8 caps and 3 goals. Continental reputation, resolute personality, and he is quality. Look at those attributes. Now 30-year-old, playing to his full potential, 3.5 star. We bought him in for 9.75 million from Inter Milan, where he played 14 times in the Serie A last season, and he is quality. Can play deeper, but I'm going to play him in the central midfield. Obviously, I play 2 central midfielders anyway, and this just goes to show what getting into Europe and finishing in the top 6 really gives you as far as caliber of players. We then spent big on Marcus Edwards, the 26-year-old, another continental reputation player. Doesn't like the media, outspoken, volatile and confrontational. He's playing to his full potential and this guy is good. He can play on both of those wing areas, probably the right-hand side. 16 dribbling, first touch, as well as technique, vision, composure, acceleration. Really, really good player. I did spend over the odds, probably 22.5 million up front, with add-ons 27 million pounds. We did play 29 times in the Premier League last season for Fulham. They spent 8 million pounds on him, so we have gone big there. But he's one of the best players at the club. Then I spent another £27 million on Omar Rekik. Now, current ability 4 stars, playing to his full potential. 23-year-old Tunisian international with 46 cap and 1 goal. He's a ball-playing defender, and I want somebody that's good with the ball at the feet at my centre-back options. Heading and marking ball 14, tackling 16, that passing 17 there. Strength could be a bit better, but like I say, £27 million from Arsenal. They got a cracking deal there when bought him for £500,000. But he played 4 times last season in the Premier League, so he's already played 1 game for us this season, so buzzing. I'm really glad to bring him in. My centre-back options now are fantastic. As I've also brought in Gabriel, another player that played for Arsenal, but he did go to Inter Milan for £21 million, where he played 10 times in 2 seasons, 1 game last season. 12.75 million we brought him in for. He's played 1 time already in the league, and he scored 2 goals in the 1 game that we've played at the start of the season. And then the last player that I brought in, Kelechi Iheanacho, I brought him in to replace Armstrong. Acceleration and pace both high. Finishing 17 with composure 16. 28-year-old, 66 caps for Nigeria with 25 goals. Currently playing to his full potential, which is 3 stars. He's valued up to £30 million. And I brought him in from Napoli, where he played 4 times last season for 7.5 million. Now, he's played 1 game for us and he scored a goal, so not a bad return so far. But yeah, Iheanacho, a decent option up front. So looking at the overall ins and outs, I managed to recoup a total of £36 million, but I did spend £93 million this transfer window. Absolutely massive. As last season, I spent 40.5, but managed to bring 61 million in. So yeah, we've gone all out this season. But when we look at the squad now, you know, wages-wise, Iheanacho's on 100k per week, Gabriel's on 70k, Harry Winks on 68, and Omar Rekik on 65. Some big wages now on the books. Transfer value, though, we've got some real good assets. With Rekik valued at 60 million, Marcus Edwards 61 million, and Winks 39 million pounds. So if we want to sell some players, we're going to get some good money for them. Tactics-wise, then, this is probably my best 11 now, with Pope in goal, Ruggieri, Gabriel, Rekik and Mufi at the back, with Sensi and Winks in the middle, Edwards and Maiton out wide, and then Piatek and Iheanacho up front. What a team that is. We've got to win some silverware, surely, with that squad. So talking about silverware then, competitions, we now have the Europa League in there as well. So we've got the Premier League, Europa League, FA Cup and Carabao Cup as it stands. Remember that we are the current holders of the Carabao Cup, but being in the Europa League is massive anyway. We go straight into the group stage, so even if we have an absolute calamity and we end up finishing 3rd, we've still got the Europa Conference League to play in. Hopefully we'll do well enough in the Europa League and push further on in that, but can you imagine getting some more silverware this season? And then looking at the season preview then for the Premier League this season, we've got no players in the Media Dream 11. That does not surprise us. But we are now expected a 15th place finish in the league. That's good. The last 3 seasons have expected at least a bottom 3 finish. Preston, Bristol City and Sheffield United all being promoted. Manchester City 9-5 odds to win the league this season. And I don't dispute that. Liverpool 7-2 and Manchester United's 9-2 in 3rd place. So yes, we've got a lot to do this season. But looking at the schedule, we've already played 1 game. A 4-1 victory over Newcastle United. We had 17 shots, 8 on target. That is promising. 52% possession. Gabriel with 2 goals. Iheanacho with a goal. And Gomez. Duvan Zapata with a consolation. I'd expect that from him anyway. But Trilly already having a game as well. But when we're looking at the rest of the games, we've got Bournemouth, West Ham, Aston Villa and Southampton. That's a decent running to start our league campaign. So we could be getting maximum points there. 15 points out of 15 would send us on the way. So yes, guys, last season, big season, but with this squad that we've assembled over this summer, I think we've got a chance of claiming some kind of silverware in the cup competition. So fingers crossed, we'll move forward to the end of the season 5, my final season in charge of Forest, and see what happens. So we're at the end of season 5, and as you can see straight off the bat, we've got Europa League final against AC Milan. We've somehow managed to get our way all through the other rounds, and we're now in the final. We're playing at Benito Villamarin. Where's that at? That's got to be in Spain. It sounds Spanish. In Sevilla. Right. So this is our one opportunity in our final game of this rebuild. We could end up being the Europa League champions. So looking at the team selection-wise then, this has been pre-selected for us. We're going to go with Pope in goal, Ruggeri, Gabriel, Rekic and Trilli at the back, with Sensi and wings in the middle, Edwards and Almada out wide, and Iniacho and Piatek up front. So what we're going to do is we're going to holiday one day forward, and hopefully by the end of that simulation, we are Europa League champions as well. And there we go, guys. We've ended up winning 2-1 against Milan. Can you believe it? Look at the state of it. We've had 13 shots, 5 on target. They had 15 and 8. Telles Magno would have gone 11 for them before. Almada on 46 and Rekic on 62 minutes. On our final game, like I say, my final game in charge of Nottingham Forest, we end up winning 2-1. We've won the Europa League. Now, I did say at the start of the episode that it was going to be unlikely that we'd win the Champions League. We never even got there. However, we got into Europe on one occasion, and our first attempt, we ended up winning it. Absolutely massive. So there you go. But what about our performance in the league then? It hasn't been as great. We have got a full European Champions League place though. Even though we got an 8th place finish, we played 38 games, 18 wins, 4 draws, 16 defeats. 16 defeats is massive. We scored 77 goals but conceded 73, plus 4 goal difference, 58 points on the board. We were nowhere near those teams in the top 4, let's be honest there. Past positions wise, we were all over the place and we fell apart towards the end of the season. We cruised along in 6th place after getting smashed by Manchester City 6-3. But then we lost 3-1 to Manchester City again, and that dropped us a place. We managed to jump back up with a 3-3 draw with Arsenal, but then Liverpool done us 2-0. And even a 4-1 victory against Fulham wasn't enough. So yeah, Leeds will have leapfrogged us, they did. That is heartbreaking, however, it doesn't matter. 8th place finish and we still got Champions League football. So what about the rest of the competitions then? The Europa League win. We also won the FA Cup, so a massive result, 2-0 against Manchester United in the FA Cup. As we had 8 shots and 5 on target there, 25 and 9. Piatek with a goal on 13, Maiton with a goal on 20. So we're FA Cup winners as well. So 3 trophies now in the last 2 years. As the team is starting to gel, and yes, we have spent a lot of money, so that is to be expected. Carabao Cup there, we were the holders. We were knocked out in the semi-final by Manchester City. Wasn't meant to be. Can you imagine if we'd won a treble of trophies? But now it's that league performance really, isn't it? You know, an 8th place finish there is not ideal, especially with the money that we spent. But what about the finances then? This season, come on, we've got £54 million to spend when they've not given us the £80 million that we've had in the last couple of seasons. What about debt and loans? Still 0. And then our overall balance, we're currently sat at £80 million. Squad dynamics wise, and how are we leaving the squad? Team cohesion very good. Club atmosphere is average. There's so many players that want to leave. That's the next manager's problem now. And managerial support is very good. What about top influencers then? Anybody opposers? Yes, I've got 1 player that opposes. That is Maiton. 19 players that supporters and 5 players that have no real opinion. What's Maiton's problem? Playing in a weak role. Another player that's not too happy about that. So looking at the player stats then, Piatek scored 32 goals this season in all competitions. Highest average rating was Gabriel with a 7.22. Most assists, Edwards with 16, you know, money well spent there. Best pass completion was Waller with 97%. Most player of the match awards was Ruggeri and Gabriel with 7 apiece. Most yellow cards, Trilli with 17. And most red cards was Worrell, Mufi and Zakaria. Zakaria only getting 1 red card this season. That is insane considering his usual amount of red cards that he gets. In the Premier League then we played 38 games, so we scored 77 goals, which is the 3rd best, but we had the 4th worst goals conceded with 73. Yellow cards 73, which is the 7th worst. Red cards 3, which is the 5th worst, and our average attendance low again. So what about my overall performance as far as the milestones goes then? So we finished 3rd in the Sky Bet Championship in 2022, but then we won the Carabao Cup against Manchester United there, as well as winning the FA Cup against Manchester United the season after. And as you've just seen, we won the Europa League against AC Milan. But what about money spent then? This is not going to be pretty, as you spent £208 million on 32 players. We sold 38 players for a total of 118 million. So we made a £90 million loss. My highest fee spent was 27 million on Rekik. And the highest fee received was obviously on Luca. How did he get on after he left us? So 9 goals in 17 starts last season. And this season he only started 9 times, scoring 5 goals. What is he valued at? £104 million there when he's wanted by Manchester City. He's an incredible player. You know, he's an elite striker now. He's played 19 times. He's been capped 19 times for Italy and scored 12 goals. So yeah, he loves a goal. But that is it then, guys. You know, what an end to the season that is. We witnessed that Europa League Cup final win against AC Milan. However, like I say, wasn't the Champions League, but forget about it. European silverware, nonetheless, doesn't matter. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. Thank you very much for watching. If you have liked, please leave it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, thank you for taking your time watching. Stay safe, and I'll catch you later. Ta-ra.